Hi, my name is Chris Gerber. This is Computer Science E185, Big Data Analytics at the Harvard Extension School. Today I'll be reviewing my final project, WebHDFS REST API using Ruby, a Ruby gem for access to HDFS. I'll begin by reviewing the WebHDFS REST API technology. I'll then provide an overview of my project. I'll discuss my proposed solution, review the actual implementation, and then discuss the learnings from this process. To begin, the WebHDFS REST API allows us to access a Hadoop file system via HTTP requests. These are standard get, put, post, and delete operations. This API supports the complete HDFS file system interface, which makes it very similar in functionality to the Hadoop FS commands available on a local machine. Because we're leveraging standards, this allows for a very easy implementation in any language. For my project, the problem that I wanted to address is that users may want to be able to manipulate files in a Hadoop file system from a Ruby application on a remote machine. We can imagine a situation in which a developer would want from Ruby to be able to write data to the Hadoop file system so that it could be later processed through a MapReduce process, and then the results could be later picked up by the Ruby application and directly received from the remote machine. To address this problem, the solution that I came up with is to leverage the WebHDFS API to create a Ruby gem that provides access to the file, directory, and file system operations. To begin with, we first need to configure the server. The first step is to enable WebHDFS in the hdfs-site.xml configuration file. We'll add a new property to this file with a name of dfs.webhdfs.enabled, and we'll set the value to true. By default, if this property is not found, the value is set to false. Once we've set the configuration appropriately, we then need to restart the named-node service. We do this as root, so the command to do this would be sudo service hadoop-hdfs-named-node restart. This will stop the running service and start the service again, loading the new configuration file. As part of our proposed solution, I've indicated that I wanted to create a Ruby gem. Ruby is a standard programming language available on modern machines. A gem is essentially a prepackaged standard library for Ruby. By using a gem, it allows for easy reuse across multiple projects. By using this library approach, we're able to abstract the details of the underlying WebHDFS API and provide a more Ruby-like approach for developers to use when implementing this functionality. The full project is available at https://github.com/gerbercj/webhdfs, and it's available for you to download at your will. In this API that I've developed, we've implemented a number of methods. We'll review them quickly. The append method allows additional data to be added to the end of a file. Cancel token allows for the canceling of a delegation token. Cat displays the contents of a stored file. Checksum generates a checksum for a file. Chmod sets permissions for a file or a directory. Change owner changes the owner and/or group for a file or directory. Create creates a new file. Get token gets a new delegation token. Homedir returns the user's current home directory. ls lists the contents of a directory. Makedir makes a new directory. Move can rename either a file or a directory. Renew token renews a delegation token. Replication sets the number of replications for a given file. rm removes either a file or a directory. Status returns the status of a file or directory. Summary provides summary information for a directory. And touch sets the timestamps for a file. You'll notice that many of these methods have names that are similar to the Unix commands that they emulate. This should make it easier for the developers to recognize the commands and be familiar with the expectations of their usage. For the actual application, I've used Ruby 2.0.0-P0. For testing, we'll first need to install this version of Ruby. Then, we'll need to install Ruby gems. Next, we install the bundler gem. This will help us with our dependencies. We can then unzip the project into a folder or clone the project from GitHub. Either way, we move into the project root, and then we can install our dependencies using the bundle install command. To demonstrate that the project is working, we can run the unit tests that are provided. We first run rspec from the project root. This will run 26 tests that were developed to execute each of the commands that are available. When it's finished, you'll see a time that it took to finish, and it should say 26 examples, 0 failures. Assuming this is the case, then everything is running correctly on your machine. Alternatively, we can run the testing interactively. We can use IRB, which is the Interactive Ruby Interpreter, from the project root. Once we've launched it, we can use the command load, followed by the path to the library, lib/webhdfs.rb, to load our code into memory. We can then instantiate a new client using client equals webhdfs:/client.new. We'll provide it with a username. In this case, I've chosen Cloudera, which is the standard user ID we've used in this class. And then we have to provide a host name or address. My virtual machine is currently configured to run on the IP address 192.168.186.146, so I've specified that here. We can also specify a port if needed, but the default should be fine. Next, we can run any command available to us. So for example, I've implemented the client ls method here. By entering client.ls and then providing / to specify the root directory of the Hadoop file system, we're provided back a hash that includes information about all the files in the root of that file system. So what did I learn as part of this whole process? First, I learned that the basic implementation of the API was actually very easy. Because it's a standard RESTful API, the approaches that I could take were similar to those I would take for any RESTful API. Second, I learned that security adds complexity, and therefore it was not implemented for this project. It would require that Kerberos be properly configured on the server, and that Kerberos configuration be turned on in the Hadoop configuration files as well. Finally, I learned that the Ruby gem approach allows for very easy development and also allows very easily for cross-platform support. I hope you'll take some time to check out this project, and I hope that you enjoy it. Thanks for your time.